You can walk past two dogs on the same street. One wags its tail and leans into your hand. The other backs away before you've even slowed down. Same species, same street, same moment. Completely different verdict. That verdict isn't random, and it isn't really about you. It's the result of a calculation animals run constantly, one most people never think about. Trust for a wild or domestic animal isn't a feeling. It's a risk assessment. And the data behind that assessment is a lot stranger than most people assume. Start with dogs, because dogs are the clearest case. In 2015, researchers at the University of Tokyo ran a study on oxytocin, the hormone tied to bonding, in dogs and their owners. When dogs and owners held eye contact, oxytocin rose in both of them, the same loop seen between human parents and infants. But here's the part that gets overlooked. Wolves, raised by humans from birth, don't produce that response. The eye contact bonding loop isn't something dogs inherited from wolves. It evolved specifically, over thousands of years, as a tool for reading and trusting a completely different species. Dogs didn't just adapt to live near humans, their brains built a new channel specifically for us. Trust isn't just present or absent, though. It's built, tracked, and revised, sometimes in a single encounter. In 2011, researchers studying African gray parrots found that the birds would refuse food from a human who had previously been dishonest about the location of a hidden treat, even after a delay of several hours. The parrots weren't reacting to a scent or a sound. They were recalling a specific individual's past behavior and adjusting their willingness to cooperate accordingly. That's not instinct. That's memory doing the work trust usually gets credit for. Dolphins take this further. Marine biologists studying wild bottlenose dolphins off the coast of Western Australia have documented individual dolphins approaching specific boats and specific divers repeatedly over years, while showing no interest in others working in the same waters. Researchers ruled out food conditioning in several of these cases. The dolphins weren't being fed. What they found instead was that dolphins seemed to track the behavior of individual humans across repeated encounters, approaching the ones who moved predictably and calmly, and avoiding the ones who didn't. A dolphin, it turns out, keeps a file on you the same way a bank keeps a credit history. Every encounter either adds to it or subtracts from it. Then there's the harder case, animals extending trust to a species that has historically been almost uniformly dangerous to them. In 2018, a research team documented a wild fox in the UK that had begun approaching a specific gardener at the same time each evening, sitting a consistent distance away and waiting. The gardener never fed it. No food reward, no conditioning loop, nothing a standard behavioral model would predict. What changed, researchers proposed, wasn't the fox's biology. It was the accumulation of hundreds of neutral, non-threatening encounters. Every evening the gardener showed up and nothing bad happened was another data point. Eventually, the data outweighed the default assumption every wild animal starts with, that humans are dangerous until proven otherwise. This is the part that reframes the whole question. Trust in animals doesn't start at zero and grow through kindness. It starts in the negative, a standing assumption of danger, and each safe encounter has to work against that deficit before it can even reach neutral. That fox didn't come to like the gardener overnight. It spent months simply unlearning a threat that was never demonstrated. The absence of harm, repeated consistently, is itself the evidence an animal's brain is built to look for. Which brings us back to the two dogs on the street. The one that leaned in wasn't just friendlier, it had, somewhere in its history, accumulated enough safe encounters with humans, this human or humans in general, that its baseline shifted. The one that backed away hadn't. Maybe it never had the chance to. Maybe something in its early life taught it the opposite lesson before it ever had the opportunity to test it against you specifically. Researchers studying shelter dogs have found exactly this pattern. Dogs surrendered after documented abuse show measurably slower trust recovery curves than dogs surrendered for reasons unrelated to their treatment. Even when the new caretaker's behavior is identical in both cases, the dog isn't evaluating you in isolation. It's running your behavior against a dataset built by every human who came before you. You inherit a reputation you didn't earn, good or bad, the moment an animal decides to categorize you as human. And that's the uncomfortable symmetry in all of this. Every calm walk past a nervous animal, every gardener who shows up and does nothing threatening, every diver who moves predictably in dolphin waters, these aren't neutral acts, they're deposits. Whether you ever collect on them or not, they shift what the next human that animal meets will be assumed to be.
Marketing strategy.
Trust between species isn't built by one remarkable moment. It's built by thousands of forgettable ones, stacking quietly until an animal's default assumption finally moves.
But here's the
Scientists
part
still don't fully
most
agree on how much of this is
miss.
calculation versus something closer to what we call feeling.
Connect
The parrot
with
remembering
them.
a lie, the fox
Let's
waiting at the same
focus
hour,
on
the
that.
dolphin choosing one diver over another across years. These could be described in purely mechanical terms, patterns updated by outcomes. Or they could be something with more weight to it, something closer to what happens between two people who've decided, slowly and without ever saying so, that they've earned each other's trust. The research can describe the mechanism. It can't yet tell us what it feels like from the other side. What it can tell us is this. The next time an animal doesn't flinch from you, a dog that leans in, a bird that doesn't fly off, a fox that sits and waits, you're not witnessing an accident. You're looking at the output of a ledger you didn't know was being kept, one that started in deficit the moment you were born human, and that something or someone has been quietly balancing ever since.